Construct understanding in 4.2 is a little long, so we're going to break it down into a couple of steps. The first one we're going to deal with is this one, and then we'll work on the table. So they ask us to solve these equations, and they basically just put down some quadratic equations and made them equal to 0. When we say solve, we have to find a number value that would work for x to make the equation true. Now the first one is pretty simple. We've got an x squared situation here, so I can just go x times x, and if I want to figure out what number goes in the middle, -6 branches into -2 and +3. So I'm going to go x minus 2 and x plus 3. Now for this part, x is going to have to equal 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 times anything equals 0. So for this one, x is plus 3. X would have to equal -3. X plus 3, -3 plus 3 equals 0. So moving on to the next one over here, it's not your typical quadratic because it doesn't have a number off by itself. So the only thing I can factor out here is just an x. So I would just look at these terms and say, what's the common factor? And the only thing I've got is an x, so I would be left with x times x minus 9 equals 0. So if x is just by itself, well, then it can be 0, because 0 times no one cares equals 0. So for this one, x is going to equal 0. And inside the brackets, if it were 9, 9 minus 9 is 0, so x can equal 9 as well. So each time we're just going to find out what x could be in order to make the whole equation 0. Remembering that 0 times anything is just 0. Now this one would take a little bit more time. I'd have to do the decomposition thing, so I'm just going to skip for now and show you what the factors would be, because what we're focusing on is what to do after you factored it. So this one turns out that I can factor it to 5x times x would give me 5x squared. And then if I put a -3 and a +2, that's going to get me my -6. And it works out that -3x and +10x get me +7x. So I can just skip through that a little bit quicker than I usually would. And now when I look at these ones, this one's easy. X equals -2, because -2 plus 2 equals 0. But this one, I would have to work at just a little bit, and I would go, well, 5x minus 3 equals 0. So I move the 3 over. 5x equals +3. So divide by 5, get rid of that one. X equals 3 over 5. So once in a while, if you have a little bit more complicated numbers, you're going to end up with just a tiny bit more work. Now this one looks hairy, but perfect square, perfect square. So I could just run the perfect square thing and then see if the insides match up. So 2x is the square root of 4x squared, and 7 is the square root of 49. They have to be a negative in the middle, so they got to be a negative there. And then I look and go, okay, -7 times 2 is -14. Another -14, that would equal -28, so all good. Now, both of these are the same, so I only have to work it out once. 2x minus 7 equals 0. Move the 7 over. 2x equals 7, because it was negative here, so it's got to be positive there. Divide by 2 to get rid of it. X equals 7 over 2. So this one was a little bit unique in that there was only one answer, because it was a perfect square. We've factored each of them. We've set them equal to 0, and we've found out what x could be in order to make the equation equal 0. So they're solved.